My name's Colin Bryce, ColinBryce. I'm the tournament director of World's Strongest Man and one of the owners of Giants Live, the show this weekend.
So what is the US Strongman Championship?
So the USA Strongman Championships and the World Deadlift Championships is what's coming at the Orleans Arena, 5 p.m. this Saturday. It's basically the top 12 strongmen in the world, and they're coming together to compete in 5 events. But the first event in particular is the World Deadlift Championships, and that is one that has been talked about every year for the last decade, because it's the one event that we go for the max weight lifted off the floor, and we go for a world record. And the biggest weight ever lifted in competition is 500 kilograms. That's by Edward Hall of Great Britain, and it's had something like 1 billion views online. So it's a very famous lift, and if anyone can beat that, they get a very large amount of prize money.
Speaking of which, what are the odds of that record being broken here at this coming tournament?
Well, you could say the odds are low, because for the last 9 years, basically, we've been trying to beat it. But I would say, with the insider information, if you were a betting man, and this is a betting city, right? I'd say the odds are better than 50% this year. Yeah, I think you're going to see history being made in Las Vegas. There's 3 men who've turned up who are only deadlifters. They're not doing the other 4 events. They're not doing the USA Strongman Championships. They're purely guest deadlifters. And each one of those men has already come close to 500 kilos in training in the last month, and they've held back. Graham Hicks of Great Britain, perhaps the most likely. Ivan Makarov, who has the perfect physique. He's got arms so long he can put his socks up without bending over. And then there's Rauno Heinle of Estonia, who's nearly done it before. So I think there's a huge chance Nevada is going to see a piece of history made on Saturday afternoon.
How would you define a strongman?
Well, how do you define a strongman? That's a good question. I think a strongman is somebody who is tremendous in a physical sense at explosive strength, stamina strength, strength endurance, absolute strength, which is just sheer peak volume strength, which is what the deadlift's all about. Plus overhead strength is one of the most important things you can possibly test. And then there's test of character, test of willpower, test of mind, and also test of decency. Quite frankly, if you're not a good guy, we don't want you either. So there you go.
For this weekend's event, what will the challenges consist of? What can viewers and spectators expect to see?
I think you come at 5 o'clock, you're going to be introduced to all of the athletes. So even if you don't know the world's strongest men, you're going to know all 12 of them within the first 15 minutes. And once you've been introduced to them, the men will then come out for what is, in many ways, the 100 meters of strongman. And that is the deadlift. And these guys are going to lock onto that bar, and it's a rising bar. Just like in the high jump. It's going to get heavier and heavier, and we will hit, because every year we've got there before, we will hit the world record weight. And when we do, if we get it, you're going to see fireworks and a huge amount of prize money paid out. And then we carry on. We have 4 more events. And the guests who are doing the deadlift only, we say goodbye to them, and then we carry on. And we have Mitchell Hooper, probably the strongest man in the world right now here. He's only lost 1 show in the last couple of years, and that was the world's strongest man. Who did he lose it to? 3 times world's strongest man, Tom Stoltman. 6'9", 450 pounds. He's an absolute monster. He must be the 8th wonder of the modern world. And then you've got 10 other guys who it's the list of who's who's. Evan Singleton, strongest American on the planet right now. You've got Luke Stoltman, Europe's strongest man with it. They're all here. We're missing nobody. So yeah, you're going to be entertained. You're going to see the who's who of strongman in a 3-hour, 5-event spectacular. That's how I'd sum it up.
Can you describe what their physiques look like?
They're different. You get, okay, you maybe don't have someone who's 150 pounds, and can compete with these guys. But there are men who are still under 300 pounds and much more of the fast, fit physique. Rauno Heinler, Graham Hicks, the guys going for the absolute world record in the deadlift, neither of those men are over 6 foot tall, surprisingly. But then you have the absolute behemoths. Tom Stoltman is truly a wonder of the world. He's a titan of a man, 6'9", weighs in at 450 pounds, and there's very little fat in him when you see him. And you know they're all from different. There's a milkman, there's a policeman, there's a rocket scientist, and Tom is highly autistic. And this sport helped give him the regimented training, not just of body, but of mind, that when he was just 15, 16 years old, he couldn't handle life. And when I first met him, he was, and he'd admit it, he was basically mute at about 16 or 17, did not like speaking to anyone outside of his own family members. And now at 28, 29, he now is the absolute poster boy of autism in Britain. He really is the poster boy of autism in Scotland. And he's a shining light of what you can achieve in life. And training and regimented training has given him that. So he might look like almost a terrifying monster, he's so big. But he truly is the epitome of a gentle giant. And one who's putting back for what he's got out of it. He goes to schools, he goes in particular special schools, and he goes and sees a lot of autistic children, and he's an inspiration. He knows where they're coming from. Bless him. He's very proud of what Tom Stoltman's done and how we've helped him.
For the following question, is it okay if you repeat the question and answer?
Sure.
Last question. Seeing these men in action, what is that like for you?
Seeing the strongest men in the world in action is like seeing. I've been lucky enough, I competed at the Olympics. And the epitome of the Olympics is the 100 meters. Seeing these guys flying down 100 meters, the absolute zenith of human power, it hasn't got anything on the world's strongest men. When you watch the world's strongest men launching a keg into orbit, or you see a man lifting a bar so heavy, the ends are still virtually touching the ground as he stands up with it. These guys have trained themselves to the very highest level, and they start from the biggest base as well. They're giant men. It's a magnificent thing. It's like seeing one of the wonders of the world, and it still tickles me pink. And I was a strongman. 30 years ago, I was one of the best, and now they're just some of them are twice as strong as I was. And that's 30 years on. I find it extraordinary. And I think people will be dazzled by the power of these guys. And afterwards, they'll get to meet them. And they're great guys. The bigger they are, the softer you'll find they are. Why? Because they're so scary in many ways. They've learned to be incredibly gentle to make sure people see that they're actually incredibly nice guys. And they're approachable. So come and meet them. You will get to meet them after the show.
You competed in 99, and you're saying you competed in 99, right?
I competed World's Strongest Man twice. I competed in World's Strongest Man in 97 and 99.
And you're saying they're almost twice as strong now?
So my deadlift my best deadlift ever was 280 kilograms, and I competed at World's Strongest Man. These guys are going for 505 kilos. Do the math. Okay, it's not double, but it's not that far off it. You know what I mean? You add 200 kilos to 280, and it would only be 480 kilos. These guys are going for 505. It's closer to double than it is to 50% more. That's how strong they are. It's extraordinary.
That was my last question. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to add, come to the Orleans Arena at 5 p.m. on Saturday, and you're going to be blown away. This is the first time we have been to America since 2008 when we did Madison Square Garden. We've been packing out the Royal Albert Hall, Glasgow Arena, Manchester Arena, but we want to come to America, and there was only one place we could come, and that was to Las Vegas. So we're hoping those who are from Las Vegas, Las Vegans, correct? Las Vegans are going to be blown away. And if we can do it here in the city of lights and shows, then we can do it anywhere. So please come along and tell us if you enjoy it. I want to know if we can make it here in America, because I'm very excited to find out.
We would love to see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. All good. Who would you like next?
Who would you recommend? I just,
Like send them out in an order.
Yeah.
I just need one more.
One more.
And then I'll be getting just video and photos.
You want an athlete, don't you, really?
Yeah.
Which one would you like? Probably someone very muscular to look impressive on camera.
The PR person recommended someone.
Suggested.
Was it Evan?
Evan. Perfect,
Evan, that's
yes.
great. Yeah.
Is he here?
Are you gonna grab him? Yeah.
Is he there?
Yeah.
Great, thanks.